So in this video, I want to see if I can save you a little bit of cash if you're in the market for a new camera body because you think your current camera body has too little resolution. And I have been shooting large images, 1 meter across, 70 centimeters down, with a 12 megapixel sensor from the Nikon D700. I've made a few videos about that. I'll put the link up here somewhere. And I didn't miss one bit of resolution in those images. And the reason I can illustrate right here, if you print something big like this, I hope you can see it. If you print something big like this, if this was, you can say, an ordinary image, you would step back to take it all in, right? Because that's the natural viewing distance for an image this big. In this case, however, you would probably walk up close to the map here and say, okay, so I'm somewhere right here, and then find your way to wherever it is you want to go, right? So in this case, you have what I would call maybe not an unnatural, but at least an unusual viewing distance, because when you're this close, you're completely ignoring that part up here, right? So if this was a normal picture of a landscape or beautiful person, you would take a step back and then probably look at it from 2 to 3 meters distance. This is actually the biggest reason why I think some photographers may need a very high resolution sensor. It's because their images need to be viewed at an unusual viewing distance, right? But most images you will take a few steps back to take it all in, and all of a sudden you actually don't need the resolution. Another case I can think of is a little bit the same, but often when I'm in the metro and I'm looking at ads in the train, because the train is filled with people, the viewing distance there is extremely short as well. And if it says something like probably the best beer in the world, like Carlsberg has, and I can only see probably, then I don't think the ad will work. But I'm not an ad expert, but at least I can say that the viewing distance in the metro in Copenhagen, when you see the ads there, is a little bit unusual. But otherwise, I would say you would, in most cases, step back. Then you would say, yeah, but Frederick, I need to print even bigger. I need to go massively big. So that thing you have there, which is, I don't know, 1.5 meter by 1.5 meter, I need to go even bigger. I need to go billboard size. But here's the thing, that the billboard viewing distance is actually even bigger than the normal viewing distance, because the billboard is designed, obviously, to be viewed from a highway. So in that case, you will often find that a billboard has a resolution of 1 to maybe 8 megapixels, something in that range. So even lower than your Nikon D700. Another example I can think of where the resolution is handy is if you have taken a picture this big and then all of a sudden you decide, oops, I need to cut out a little part of that picture, so you need to crop heavily. Then the resolution is really useful. And that's one case where I think that you will find the resolution is really justified. But you could also argue that a longer lens or a better framing of your image would do the job. But for sure, if you come home and you need to crop heavily for whatever reason, then of course the resolution is really useful. We're getting close to the ocean here, so I hope you can hear me. But the third case I can think of where resolution comes in handy, that is if you have to do some very, very specialized editing of your image. You need to zoom in crazy close to do some of this really, really detailed update to the image. Then I would think that you could use the resolution, but be mindful that you can actually, with post-processing software today and AI and all that, generate from a 12 megapixel image you can generate an image with, I don't know, many times more resolution than that. So the few times where you need that resolution, you can turn to post-processing software, and it actually does a pretty good job. I've used it a few times, generates massive files, but it's there as an option in the few cases that where you need a little bit extra resolution. Finally, there is an option that I don't think many think of as a way to enhance the resolution, but that is actually, if I was to take a picture here of the ocean, I could take several images and then stitch them together. This is probably a very bad example because when you have the waves moving, it's very difficult for the software to merge them in post-processing. It works better if it's something more stable, but for sure, the idea or the principle that you can take several images slightly overlapping and then stitch them together in post, and then you get, again, crazy high resolution. So the whole point with this video is, if you think you need more than 12 megapixels in your Nikon D700 or 16 megapixels in your Nikon D4 or whatever you're shooting with, I don't think you do, actually. 99.9% out of the times, the resolution that you have today is more than enough. Of course, if you're in the market for a new camera body just to have fun, or you have gear acquisition syndrome, that's a whole different story. But at least if your consideration is that you want to invest because you want to have more resolution, think again. And think about spending your money on maybe a better lens with better contrast, micro contrast, because that means, in my experience, a lot more than the resolution of the sensor. As always, thank you for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.